Buenos días, buenas tardes y buenas noches otra vez. Bonjour, bonsoir, encore une fois. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good night, wherever you are once again. Jay Slater case, terrific Tuesday. A lot of videos because it'll be a busy day tomorrow. Yeah, now this image, if I can move my fat head out of the way, this here was just sent to me by a gentleman called Wax Unfiltered. So thanks for this, Wax. Because Wax just caught my video where I quoted the Daily Mirror and Chris Pennington. And I'll give that quote again because this scene here clearly shows what a liar, pants on fire Chris Pennington is. The quote from the Daily Mirror is Chris Pennington, and this is from just before when Jay's body was found. So we're talking July 13th, round about then, I believe. 2024, Chris Pennington has been critical of the Spanish police, the Daily Mirror said, who he said just, quote, stuck to the paths after assuming Jay did the same. So, Chris Pennington, you can tell us if the Daily Mirror got that quote wrong or right, but they have your words in the comillas, in the quotation marks. There it is. Stuck to the paths. The Spanish police said, Chris Pennington said, stuck to the paths in the search. What Wax has found here shows that's not true because I have verified it. These are the bomberos, not the bombarderos, not the bombers, as Luggy said, but the bomberos, the fire crew, and the Guardia Civil, and the search group in general under Cipriano Martin, and they are going down into. Actually, I don't think that's the Juan Lopez ravine, but the point is that is not a path, Chris. That is not a path. You're lying. Now, I believe I can explain the nature of your lie and why you are lying. Let's deal with the nature of the lie first. What Cipriano Martin said, and he was right to say this, was that it didn't make any sense searching in areas where his guys couldn't get to, because if his expert mountain division of the Guardia Civil can't get to those places, then Jay wouldn't have been able to get there. That was what he said. He didn't say Jay must have stuck to the paths. So what we have here, Chris, Peter, Accident Group dummies, is three separate possibilities. Possibility number one, a path. A path, what I take to mean a clear walkway that is unobstructed. Yeah, a path. Right. Number two, we have an area where Jay could have gone, like this. It's not a path. There is no path there. As you try to go down that ravine bottom, you're going to be able to get through. But in some areas, you've got tremendous obstacles. You've got boulders and you've got deep, thick, prickly vegetation. So that is not a path, but nor is it so inaccessible that Jay couldn't have got there. So it's in the middle ground. Let's call it difficult terrain. And then you've got the areas that are just inaccessible. Jay couldn't have gone there. You've got three possibilities. Now, when Cipriano Martin is talking about these three possibilities, when he says, we didn't look at the areas, we didn't search in the areas where our guys can't get to because that means Jay couldn't have got there, that's category three. That's area three, inaccessible to everyone. But by implication, Cipriano Martin is saying, but obviously the paths, or the path, once they've narrowed it down to the Juan Lopez ravine, there's only one path there on the right-hand side. That path, plus all the areas where, like this, as Wax is showing us, this area, which is no path, but it's an area that is accessible to people, that area had to be explored too, and it was. And it was. But Chris lies to us. Chris knows this, but he lies. He says the Spanish police who stuck to the paths. Now I'll explain why Chris has to lie about this. Chris has to lie about this and say that the Spanish police just stuck to the paths because Chris needs to create a rational explanation for why he found Jay and no one else could. And the only rational explanation for why Jay could be found by Chris and by no one else is because Chris managed to get to the most inaccessible place that no one else could get to. Yeah? Chris has to be some kind of superhero, with Luggy an extra super duper hero in the background. Luggy figuring out where Jay must be, even though no one else on the planet can figure it out. Yeah? With LiDAR maps. Except they lied about that too, because you need real-time data for a LiDAR map to work. They didn't have real-time data. They threw out LiDAR maps thinking we're all ignorant about it. We're not. We called you out. And again, talking about lying, why did you do that, Ivor Lovelace and Chris Pennington? I'll repeat. LiDAR maps in the search for a missing person, a missing body, a body that is out there somewhere, can only work, and it's very dubious whether it does actually help or not. This is why Guardiansville didn't use LiDAR maps. Yeah? They can only work with real-time data. That means you've flown your drone or whatever instrument you're using for scanning the surface of the Earth, get that real-time data, and then that will reveal if there's a change in a previous set of LiDAR maps. You didn't have any real-time data, therefore you lied about using LiDAR maps. And the reason you can't explain how you use LiDAR maps is because you lied. It's that simple. So we have this track record of Lovelace and Pennington lying over and over and over again. But they have to do it. Because if they told the truth, the world would understand that Lovelace and Pennington did nothing and had nothing beyond what anyone else had, and therefore could not have found Jay Slater. Unless it was pure luck, unless the others just didn't happen to look in the one spot that Lovelace and Pennington stumbled upon. They have to create this gulf. The Dumbos over here, Spanish police and everyone else that searched, Shane Yerrell, he'd be one of the Dumbos, he looked in the wrong place. DTR, one of the Dumbos, he looked in the wrong place. Everyone is a Dumbo, they all looked in the wrong place. As Chris Pennington said, and he lied about this too, they all focused, he said, everyone focused on the left-hand side of the Juan Lopez ravine. Whereas the intelligentsia, those with their superhuman powers, knew, there was no doubt about it, they knew that Jay had gone down the right-hand side, which initially is a path for about 20 minutes or so, and then it dissolves into what I would say is inaccessible, pretty much inaccessible. You have to really bash your way through it. But as Chris showed us, it's no easy feat. Not on that right-hand side. And yet Jay, hungover, t-shirt and shorts, intoxicated, stumbling, sleepless. Apparently, according to the Dutch group, he went on for another 2.5 hours, survived, and then died. The only way Chris Pennington can create a narrative in which he finds Jay is if the Dumbos fail miserably and he is the only one to meet success. So therefore he has to lie. He has to say things like, well, they only stuck to the path. We, Adrian, Luggy and me, we found out a different route. Oh yeah, it was more dangerous. Oh yeah, it went to the parts the Dumbos never even thought of going. Oh yeah, we found Jay because, well, that's an interesting one too. Found Jay. We've heard this over and over. Chris found Jay, Chris found Jay, Chris found Jay. Except when he was on TV, when he couldn't just say something and say, oops, delete, let's get rid of the video. He's talking to Sky TV. What goes out on Sky TV is pretty damn serious. And when he came to that moment, Chris Pennington, when he could explain how he found Jay, the question was asked, so Chris, did the Guardia Civil find Jay in the area you were looking? For once, Chris Pennington had to tell the truth. And what did he say on Sky TV? He said, I don't know where they found the body. I don't know where they found the body, he said. I believe, suddenly he's not sure. Now he's believing stuff, but he's not sure. Up till then, he was absolutely sure. Sky TV comes around, I believe it was 500 meters or so from where I was looking. So here we have this paradox. On the one hand, we have the same person, Chris Pennington, say he found Jay, but when put on national TV, he says, well, I don't know where Jay's body was found. How can this be? He found Jay one day, Chris Pennington 180, Sky TV starts talking to him, and he doesn't know where Jay's body was found. And we're supposed to believe both or neither. This is why Chris Pennington has to lie over and over and over again, because he has to create some kind of story that to some people will make sense. And it could be this is why Chris Pennington was never summoned to the inquest. Because if there had been some wise barrister that could have painted these two different pictures side by side, the whole narrative, according to Chris Pennington and those that actually found Jay, would have collapsed. So, Adley, not being a total fool, I think, said the actual searchers, the people who found Jay's body, they don't need to come to a coroner's inquest. It's trying to find out how Jay died. I mean, normally I would think, wouldn't you? Coroner would like to hear something from the people that found the dead body, but not in this case. I think Coroner Adderley knew that Chris Pennington, the person that found Jay, even though on Sky News he said he didn't know where Jay's body was found. Yeah, I think Adderley realised this is a liability. Keep Lovelace well away from the courtroom. Yeah, let him badger Ali Harris outside, but not in the courtroom. Keep Chris Pennington way, way, way outside. Well, no worry about that. He's stuck in Tenerife, never goes anywhere. We'll discuss reasons for that. But yeah, the actual people that found, en comillas, found no, they weren't there. They had nothing to say in the inquest. Absolutely bloody amazing, isn't it? This image here shows Chris Pennington is a liar. Just one more example of Chris Pennington's lies. Two worlds exist at the same time. Chris and Luggy. Yeah, Chris and Luggy. Luggy reserved the boat, and Chris was ready to go up the ravine from the beach side, Juan Lopez Beach. Luggy, Captain Nemo himself, in the hired boat, comes roaring up to the beach. Well, Luggy apparently wasn't in Tenerife, but some of us think he was. Captain Nemo, Luggy, or whoever rears up in the boat to Juan Lopez Beach. And Chris says, if Guardia Civil aren't going to bring that boy out of the ravine, we'll do it from the beach side. Yeah, we'll do it. We can do it, he said. That same person told us that you can't do that. Oh, Juan Lopez Beach, he said, no, you can't get there. His favorite distance, 500 meters. Chris Pennington said, if you're 500 meters away from Juan Lopez Beach, yeah, that's too shallow. The approach to the beach is too shallow. Boats can't go in there, said Chris. Oh, besides, remember this beauty? Remember this absolute beaut? Hammerhead sharks. What was Chris's words? Good luck with that. You're going to try to get into Juan Lopez Beach? It's too shallow. Got hammerhead sharks. How are you going to do it? Well, I don't know, Chris. You said you could. You said you were going to if Guardia Civil didn't get Jay's body out of there. So you tell me. This, again, is what we get all the time. One lie, another lie. They contradict each other. One of them might be the truth, but I think both could be lies. This is the Pennington world. The question I have is, where did Chris Pennington get this lying ability from? Did he inherit that from Peter Pennington? Did he inherit it from Dee? Stevie Pennington, does he lie like this? Or is brother Stevie actually the honest one of the family? I don't know. You got to ask. Maybe this is why there hasn't been some grand wedding between what's her face Sylvana and jerkface Chris Pennington. Maybe Pumpkin ain't gonna go ahead with the wedding. Maybe Sylvana ain't gonna go with it. Maybe she's a fiance for life. Why? Because she suddenly realized Pennington, the pumpkin, he's a freaking liar. Thanks, Wax, for this. Proof, absolute proof. The search went way beyond the past. Chris Pennington, quote, the police stuck to the past. They didn't, Pennington. Chris, you're a bloody liar. Accident group, you're welcome to it. Hasta luego, adios. See you next time.